Hello, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on which time zone you're sitting, or maybe even good evening if someone is listening us from Asia in China. And we are going to start the webinar sometime soon. We are going to just wait for a little bit more people to join us. I can see the number, it's already increasing now. So I'll wait until it's 34 or 35, and then we will get started to this webinar that I'm presenting together with Leo Blythe, that is going to represent today the Efficiency for Access Coalition and also partially the Lighting Global World Bank Group. It's going to be, we present for them as well, as we are all partners in this process. For now, I'm going to mute myself and wait for a little bit of more attendees to join us. And I hope you can all hear me fine. Feel free to add in the chat if you are having problems that we can try and solve. And if you already have any question, you can already put it now. All right. So good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're listening us from, to all the ones that join us and are still joining us in this couple of minutes. I will get started already and introduce you and welcome you to this webinar, which is hosted by GOGLA, Efficiency for Access Coalition, and Lighting Global. We are all partners of the Global Off-Grid Solar Market Data Collection that we run semi-annually. And the Efficiency for Access Coalition is joining us in this partnership for the first time. As you will hear in the webinar, we are now expanding this data collection from just lighting kits that includes solar lantern, solar home system, to also appliances, various different appliances, as you will hear soon. And thank you all for attending. I can see in the list of the attendees, some of these are companies that already report, some of these are new companies. So we will try to keep it as general as possible so that everybody can follow. But feel free to any point in time add in questions, and we will take them on all at the end if that's okay for you, just not to interrupt the webinar itself. And I'm going to present today. I'm Silvia Franchoso from GOGLA. I'm a data analyst for GOGLA, and I'm in charge of the sales data collection process. And I'm today hosting the webinar with Leo Blythe. Leo, do you want to try if your microphone is working fine?
Yes, hello everyone. I hope you can hear me well.
Yes, loud and clear. Thank you. And so, yeah, I think I will leave the floor to Leo to introduce a little bit the exercise. Leo and I have been working on this together, and Leo has been working on this even before I joined Gogla. So he's the best person to introduce the exercise to you a bit, to those that are a little bit new.
Thank you, very kind, Sylvia. Yes, and it's great just to get this started by giving this a little bit of context. And so we have an hour, and actually that's going to be quite a short time. There's a lot we've got to cover. And so we wanted to present to you the key elements here. Really, when you hear data collection, there's many different ideas I'm sure you have. Market intelligence really differs on the exercise. So for this exercise, we really want to present to you something quite unique for those of you who are new. And so we're going to give you a quick overview of what we're doing, why we're doing it, and most importantly, what do you get from it, both immediately and long term, because this is an exercise that was created to support the industry, with the ultimate aim being to leverage the growth of the off-grid sector, particularly in its origin for the power generation, but now recognizing the ability of appliances to help deliver the services to end users, which is ultimately what we're all here to do, is to enable people to get access to new technology which enables them to do new things, or things better. So with that, I'd love to just get started, and I'll give a few slides, then hand over to Sylvia, who'll go into details to show you how you actually will share the data if you choose to participate in January, and we'll finish with that Q&A, as Sylvia said. So please ping us questions. There's an online tool for that. If you have a look, you'll have a dashboard with questions on that. Just open the question bar and type in your question if you're not familiar with this, and we'll answer them when we get to that later. We'll do our best to look at anything in the meantime. But from experience, we've got all the microphones muted because it really gets very chaotic otherwise. There's always a challenge with a mic left open and someone in the background not aware of that. So I'd be happy to start if you would, Sylvia. Thank you. So, as Sylvia intimated, this exercise has actually been going on for around 10 years overall, beginning with Lighting Africa as a key element of supporting the growth of the off-grid lighting market. And this has grown thanks to Gogla's support and professionalism to be the leading sales and impact data collection exercise, even with the International Renewable Energy Association, IRENA. They use our data when they make their global reports. Gogla is the voice of the off-grid industry in this sector, and we've organized things so that they're the go-to person for questions following this exercise. And what this also means is that this data has become incredibly useful to both donors, investors, and new companies who are looking to enter this space and to understand more details. Although our primary audience are those companies amongst you who are already very active, and you share your little piece of the puzzle with sharing your data. We put that all together confidentially and share it out in a confidential way. And then together we're building up, as I say, what is certainly one of the only from the ground up data sources. And therefore we need to do this every 6 months. That's the cycle that once you join now, this is a framework that we will just keep continuing, as Sylvia said, for many years. And this has been done, the focus, as we say, has been on what we're calling, the simplest way to understand is must be a kit, a solar kit of some kind, even if it's just a simple solar lantern. One of these light and power pack multi-light systems for light and mobile phone charging, or a full solar home system where we then have many lights connecting to a power pack, and often appliances bundled together, sold at the same time, such as fans, televisions, radios, even torches. All of those we've been reporting for some time, as we say. We call them plug and play kits. And we don't count individual solar panels, nor individual batteries or charge controllers. Any of those separate components we do not add here. We just look at a complete system. And as Sylvia said, what's new and really exciting about this round is that we've got companies who have been selling high efficiency appliances, which generally have been designed for off-grid or weak grid environments. And the partnership with the LEA program, I just want to mention here. And for those of you, I think all of you will be aware, this is the Low Energy Inclusive Appliances Program funded by DFID and co-managed by the American organization CLASP, which has been running the Global Leap Awards for many years, and EST, Britain's leading energy efficiency advisory, which actually works across Europe, helping shape policy and run energy efficiency standards programs. So between the two organizations, they are running this initiative, LEA, and we have many of you companies will be here as you've already been engaged through roundtables, technical working groups, and also, as we say, the Global Leap Awards themselves, which have identified you as suppliers of these products. So we're drawing on the contacts of those programs to bring you in to this existing exercise, which before was limited to only Gogla members or companies with quality verified solar home systems. Hope that makes that clear. And the last point, these appliances we're talking about are limited at the moment, with our focus being on TVs, fans, refrigerators of various kinds, although underneath the size of walk-in coolers. We're looking more at small scale domestic and commercial, not industrial, if you like. And the same solar water pumps, we're focusing on the broad range of the lower spectrum of solar water pumps, but all water pumps data will be happy to gather. There are other questions where you can put other and enter all manner of appliances you may be selling, which can support small businesses, milling machines, even hair clippers, cutters, variations of anything that can run off a small solar system. And we'll be collecting that data separately. And as I say, that's the key point about this round. Let's go ahead, please, Les. Thank you. So key point here, this is what we wanted to make you, if you're new to this exercise, then please just pay attention to this one key slide to encourage you. And if you have any questions about, is this worth your time? This is where you'll find those answers, really. So there are two ways, as I said earlier, this will help you. The first is in the direct sense, and the other is the indirect to help the whole market. So directly, every company that participates, we call it, you have a personalized market share report. What this means is any data you share will be shown in exactly the way you've shared it across the product types compared to all the other companies' data. And that's your market share, as we're calling it, of any small market and of the overall market for any product type, any country, any region, and ultimately the globe, with your sales compared to others. And of course, this key point is this is the only tool we're aware of, other than very expensive market data collecting that companies would have to do every 6 months. This is the only way of getting and I hope you can still hear me.
Yeah,
I hope you can hear me.
Broke up a little bit, but now it's working.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. There's always something. And as I was saying, that's your direct added value from this immediately there from those sales. Another way is for you to quite simply just show each product for the solar for the general off-grid products. We have developed, Gogla has led the development of an impact measuring tool which shows how many people benefit from the sale of one product, from the use of that product in their home, using the multi-tier framework that has been adopted by the world to measure success against the SDG 7, universal access to energy. And so this is a globally recognized way of measuring the impact which governments are using themselves to track their progress, and of course which donors and many impact investors are using as the accepted benchmark to see how people ultimately benefit from these product sales. And this is an area that has not been developed yet for the appliances, but which is within the scope of LEA. Will be very keenly pursuing how to measure the impact more effectively of these appliances, and this data will enable us to do that. When you go online, you will also be able to see your data and the aggregate of others' data on this environment that Sylvia is going to show. So it really is a tool, a dashboard that you'll always have available to you after the data has been submitted, for you to go online and to look at different graphs and charts per country, per product category, for all of the data that's shared. And in those ways, this will ideally help your company directly. For those of you who are also participating in the quality verification program of Lighting Global, then Lighting Global also offers their one-on-one consultation to actually discuss your results and the growth of your business in the context of their business development support, and how their business development support can be tweaked to offer you even more value. And currently that is limited to the solar home system kit companies. And it's another benefit of joining the quality verification program of Lighting Global. That's something that's then available to all of those companies. Okay, and then moving on to the key indirect added value, the key point being that all of the programs and the funding that we're seeing supporting this sector is either coming from impact investors or new venture capital, more commercial investors, or donors. At this stage, we're seeing this market being very dominated there by others who are helping build an enabling environment to extend energy access or provide services. And all of those draw on this data as a key point to guide or to benchmark, to check the progress of programs. And quite frankly, the background here is a conversation with the wider energy space that off-grid energy access from standalone kits is a serious and viable business. That alone is an argument that takes a lot of advocacy and a lot of proving, and Gogla, Lighting Global, and now Leia are all being created to help showcase this in the world, and this data is essential to show the reality of the work and not just to talk subjectively. So in general, this will also help create awareness of the sector. Many of this data have been quoted across from The Economist to many articles in many newspapers and news agencies such as Bloomberg around the world. And so again, this just draws attention and builds a credibility of our sector. And ultimately, the impact measurement, as I mentioned earlier, of the sector is able to be communicated based on this data. Everything from the actual number of people who have more light, less kerosene, better quality of working hours, more business income generated, and all the way down to even showing the megawatts as a recent addition. Although the benefit there is you see how few megawatts can deliver how much value, which is a great way to show it. Size isn't always what matters the most. So I hope we can convince you to take part after this webinar now based on this, and we'll now get into more details of how you can do that. Thank you, Sylvia. Please go ahead. So this is beginning the section Sylvia will go into depth on. As I mentioned, we have this online platform, which is the portal through which you will both enter the data and then later view the data. You enter your own personalized data, and then you view the aggregate data with your confidential information available only to those of you who have a password, because the key point is that this is your password protected access to the data. You'll notice that all of the individual company sales, as I say, are benchmarked against the aggregate in whatever region there is sufficient data for. One key point is that this platform has only been developed in the last few years versus the exercise running for about 10 years. And so the other way of accessing data we'll see in a moment is the public report, which is a PDF that is shared with all of the stakeholders I mentioned earlier in order to achieve all of the indirect benefits. The key point being you have, as a participant, you are the only ones who will be able to see such granular data through this online portal. And you can also access the historical data for the lighting kits that will have been submitted over the past years. You'll find the ability to download this information. And you also have a tool in there which will calculate the impact of your solar lighting kits. built on top of that platform is the new addition for the appliance insights. And as we say, this is the work in progress, where for this round, as Sylvia's highlighting the blue section on the page, you'll see this round is going to include the sales of the appliances. It is the first time we've done this separately. And so really we need to see what your companies will be willing to share. And then we'll be able to start building on other elements in future, such as measuring more effectively the impact of these products, maybe splitting up difference between cash sales and finance sales, pay-as-you-go sales. All of these nuances are ways of cutting the data, which took some years to develop for the off-grid lighting sector. And so I just want to mention that when you join this exercise, you're really jumping on a moving train, as it were, and we're going to be adding our own carriages, if you like, over time. But for now, we really encourage you to take part, share what you can, and help build this endeavor, as your participation will actually increase the benefits everyone gets over time. Thank you, Sylvia. Go ahead. And this is the public-facing report, as I mentioned earlier. And I want to mention this is something that's been used to great effect by many of the existing companies. You can then share this report with any investors you have, with the customers you're working with, you know, with any of those who you wish to promote this sector to, and you'll have access to that. What you'll see here is this aggregates all the data for manufacturers, and the key point here is that we have the 3 data point rule. So, and I haven't mentioned this before, this is the key to our confidentiality, that we hold all of the data confidential through strict confidentiality agreements, and the only data that is shared in any format with companies outside your own is data that satisfies the 3 data point rule. So for any single point of data conveyed, for example, there would need to be more than 3 different companies in any one category that are reporting data in order for an aggregate of that data to be shared. So for example, if we're talking about a small fan of only 12, say 10 inches, a small fan, then a larger fan, say 20 inches, and another larger fan. If in all those 3 fan separate categories, there are 3 companies reporting in each category, then we can show that whole category of, say, a small fan. There would need to be 3 companies. But if they're not, then we aggregate up. So we could say, we could then only show all the fan sales together if there were not sufficient amounts of companies reporting any different size. And the same goes for the lighting. We have, as you'll see, 2 different categories of solar lanterns. We have another 5 different categories of small lighting kits and solar home systems. We only report on each of those categories. For example, 11 watts to 20 watts. We will only give a figure for the 11 to 20 watts category if there are more companies, 3 or more in there. I hope that makes sense there. There is an area which can be, even though it sounds simple, it is certainly very tricky for us to ensure that that is followed, and so we have the algorithms and a manual level of quality check built into all of the work we do to ensure that's upheld. And that's partly why we have such a long time lag between gathering the data and sharing the data, because we have a very significant amount of these checks that go through to protect the sanctity of that data. I think that covers everything. You can see the different sections on the table here, split between the sales of solar lighting kits, including solar lanterns, and then the sales of energy efficient appliances. The report will contain this information here. And as I say, the impact metrics are currently limited to the lighting kits. And with that, I'll pass on to Sylvia. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leo. And I hope if there's any question for Leo on this part, please feel free to add them in. And yeah, we know that this is a lot of information. It will come more clear as we go. Today, we will focus more on the questionnaire side in terms of how you actually report, but it's very important that you're aware on what Leo was saying about the confidentiality and how we hold the data confidential. and how it's going to be aggregated, so you can see already, you can envision already what type of output you will get. And all this slide deck will be shared with you. And upon request, we may even share a sample of the report. Of course, the past ones don't include efficiency appliances, so we won't be able to show you that yet. But we're very excited and thrilled of showing you that in this coming round. Just before getting into the nitty-gritty of the platform, and I hope that many of the ones now in the call are the ones that are going to be reporting. I can see some familiar names in there from existing companies that are already reporting. But also for you, please feel free to pass on this slide deck that you will receive in your inbox as an how-to guide to the person that actually is going to report. All of this is going to help us tremendously to ensure the quality of the data that Leo was mentioning as well. We do take it very seriously. We do sense check and cross check with other sources all the data that you report. So if you can help us minimizing that effort by providing us great quality data, that will be always appreciated. In terms of, you'll see now the data collection process overview. Between January and February, what will happen is that we will share with you the data sharing agreement that we have between the parties that you see that are hosting this webinar, so that you can also have a sense of what type of access to your data these various organizations have. And that comes together with the invitation to the questionnaire, which will be sent via email to the contacts that you have provided me. If you have any variation on those contacts, or if you wish to be removed from the list, please feel always free to send me an email. I will take care of all the account management, and you probably already have my email, but you can also contact Leo or Salman from the IFC team, and they will always redirect you to me for this. And regarding when you will receive the invitation and the questionnaire is open for submission, that will be open for around 2 weeks of time. Which means around 10 working days. We ask the effort to reply and fill it in as soon as possible, or to just send us an email back and saying when you will more or less be able to do so. This will avoid us having to spend a lot of precious time that we would spend maybe on the quality control of the data in follow-up emails. It's normal that every round we all know that you are very busy and you have a busy inbox, but if you could just, bear in mind that between January and February, you will receive this important email and it will be open for just 2 weeks. So it's very important to be timely in the response in there. And after that, we will take some time to, do the quality control and the analysis of the data. We may contact you, especially probably in the appliances space. We will need to do some follow-ups on one-on-one if we have some clarification about the data. But definitely we limit this as much as possible because we are already receiving some great quality data from the companies. And what's important for you to know as well, and I will mention it again, the data is preloaded. So the biggest effort is the first time around. So it's good that it's already a good quality, so it can be already good quality also for future rounds. And then around April, May, you will receive an email once the results are available for consultation. You will receive this prior the release of the public report. So you will receive both the public and the access to the online platform prior everyone. Usually we do it like some working days before we release it to everyone. This way it gives you also an edge in front of everyone to see what the sales look like. And I forgot to mention that in the analysis phase, only for Gogla members right now, we have a preliminary showing of the data to gather some intel about what those data mean. So for example, if we see a decrease in sales in a specific country, we consult the lighting group teams, in-country teams, for asking their, very detailed view, and their in-country view they have this local presence that Gogla has only on a regional level into regions. But we do that also through the companies. So for all the Gogla members on the line and that are not part of working groups, you can always join these working groups in seeing the data. And please, anytime, reach out for question, clarification from me, from Leo, from Salman. It doesn't really matter who you reach out to. I'm the main manager here, but in that sense, it doesn't matter. We are all on the same page. We all have the same knowledge. So it doesn't matter who you reach out to, but feel free to do so. And it's very important because there's no question that is a silly question. All of them are very important, and whatever we can do to smooth out the process, we will do so. So without further ado, I want to move to the part that probably most of you are waiting for, and which is the how to participate. In the how to participate, here you will have some slides in which the steps are detailed, but I will prefer to show it to you live. So I will now switch to my browser where I'll show you the platform, how it looks like. But I will share with you afterwards this presentation, so you still have the step-by-step guide, and in there you should have everything I said, if not even more. So please, keep that one once you report to cross-check, and probably there is something missing. Always, again, feel free to reach out. So as it says here, first step is to log in onto this platform. The platform, as we said, is confidential. Only few people in each company have access to it. We normally ask companies to provide a primary contact and one or more secondary contacts. That can always be changed at any point in time, but always feel free to reach out to me when this happens, so then I can create a new login for you. You will see here there will be a link on the data sharing agreement, and then some changes for the companies already been reporting. And it just shares with you more or less what we have been saying about what output you can expect. Once you go onto the platform, you will see here a button about the H2 2018 data collection with Start Continue questionnaire. And I will move quite slowly, as I can see that there is a lag between my screen and the screen for the participants. But again, always feel free to pop a question in there if I move too fast, and I will be timely in reading that. When entering the questionnaire, now for some purposes, for webinar purposes, I already inputted some data. Otherwise, it will open on the intro page. This intro page is very detailed, quite long as well, in explaining you how to do it. We always advise to read it the first time around the CHI report. But essentially, the very, very first step is to go on to the general questions. Going to the general questions section, we will focus on your company level, so it's quite high level. And then in tab 3 and 4 is more on a product level, so asking you product specifications, while in the tab 5 it will be going more into the sales. We are aware that this expertise may lie in more than one individual within the company. So you always have the opportunity to fill in the survey with different people. So once you log in, you can start filling it in, and then I'll show you how to interrupt the filling in and save it. And then another colleague may log in to continue your submission. This means that you could also divide it. What's important to mention is that you won't be able to do it at the same time. So one colleague at a time will log in. And if you try to log in with multiple ID of the same company, it will give you, it will show you a message saying that someone is already working on it. But this is just for your internal purposes. So moving on to the second tab, here as I said, you'll see some questions about your company. And I want to point out here that the company name that you enter here, as you see, is preloaded. So in the last round, I participated with my company, which is called Sylvia Test. And again, when I enter, I don't have to re-enter this information. What's going to be new for all companies, and that's the only difference in the main part of the questionnaire, is this question number 2, which asks you which products you sell. Before, we were just assuming that everybody was selling lighting products because only eligible companies were invited and given a login. But now, luckily, this has changed. So we will now have only lighting products, which means solar lantern, solar home system, anything, any kit which include a panel, a battery, and a light, as well as products that are classified under appliances, which includes both household appliances and productive use appliances. So each company will have to reply to this question, and depending on the answer, for example, the companies that have just lighting products won't see any difference in the survey because that has been a pre-existing survey. The one that has sell both or appliances, those are the ones that will see the differences. We also marked for your convenience as lighting the questions in this section that pertain only to lighting, while you will see, and they are marked in orange, while the ones in light blue are the ones related to appliances. Going back to these questions, after replying which type of products you deal with, in this case, let's go on with Sylvia Test, which is a company that deals with both. I'm trying to choose this example to make it as general as possible, but of course, this may differ if you deal with only one of the two segments. So it will ask you about your company description, and in this case, my company is a manufacturer, which means that I have my own branding. My products carry my Sylvia Test branding, and I may also supply it to other companies by selling it B2B. I will mark myself as a distributor if I would sell, for example, products that the Leo's company is producing. And we asked this question for lighting products on a company level, so please respond to this as identifies your company overall. Well, for the appliances products, you'll see we ask it on a product level because we are very much aware that in that kind of business model, a company, since we led consultation to figure out all of these nuances, some companies may brand some of the appliances, but they may not brand others. So that's why we created this distinction between the two. We hope it won't be too confusing. Then the two most important questions of this survey per se are this question number 4 and question number 5. And please note that all the questions marked with this star, which is also red to be a little bit more visible, are mandatory for submission, which means that you won't be able to submit your questionnaire until you fill them in. These questions are around, let's say, less than 70% of the overall survey. And you will have a list of these mandatory questions in the slides that I'll share with you so that you can also prepare them beforehand for your convenience. We try to limit this to the minimum possible that we need. So please trust us when we say that these are mandatory questions because we need them to do our market segmentation and give you the best output possible. Here, for example, my company sells one lighting product, and I did have some sales in H2 2018. So here, because I had sales, then I mark it as a yes. If I did not have any sales, I will mark it as no. And when marking it as no, it will ask me if I'm still selling this product. So if it's still part of my portfolio, if you may. And if I also mark it as no here, this product will be removed from my preloading. So it will still be in this round, but I will not be able to provide sales for this product, nor it will be in my future submissions because I discontinued this product line, for example. But for now, for simplicity, let's keep it as a yes. And then he's asking me whether I'm selling it B2B, B2C, or both. Here you will find a definition of what we mean by B2B or B2C, but essentially is B2C only when you're directly selling it to a consumer, while we call it as a B2B sale when you have a local distributor or you sell it to a bulk purchaser, a government, or an NGO. Also, when you have a new product, you may click on Add Lighting Product and add new products in here, but you may not remove a product. That's not possible because of we prefer to mark them as no rather than remove them. This way, they're still part of our database and they ensure a better output in the end. You will also find some important notes here, and what's very important is that you have to report on a product level, which means don't aggregate it on product lines. So you should not put there solar lanterns under which you imagine to be 3 different products, because this will be a little bit more complicated for us to classify and for you to report specs, because this product may have different specs. So please report on a product level. And again, feel free to interrupt me with questions. I'll take them at the end, but definitely I will keep in mind when they come in. The same will go for appliances. Remember, I marked myself as I sell both, and I sell 2 products with very interesting name. One is Test 1 and the other one is Test 3. And this Test 3 product is an appliance product. Of course, since we never asked you about appliances products, you won't see any preloading here, but you will see it from next round onwards. And again, here you will need to tell me whether you sold this product, yes or no, and we keep the distinction on B2B and B2C level. Again, you can also choose both. Also here, if you added a row by mistake, like simply leave it blank, you can cancel the text here or mark it as to be removed and then go to select, and the row will be automatically eliminated. Again, report on a product level. We are aware that on the appliances side, there's even more variation than on the lighting side. So you may have various different types of classification. You may aggregate it as you feel it's best to make your reporting a little bit easier, or you may list there only the products you're actively selling. For example, we are aware that some companies are testing new products and they're not yet selling them. So I would say for the interest of this round, please list there the ones that you sell, so that will make your reporting a little bit easier. And then maybe from next round onwards, you can also add the ones that you're not selling yet. But if you do have time to do so, please add all your products and mark them eventually as a no, yes, to be preloaded for future rounds. There's then some questions that you see, they don't have that magic mandatory star. And these are questions related to the jobs that you're creating. These are not mandatory because this is not things that we necessarily report in this in this exercise, but we have been gathering this data and doing some quality control around it, and this tremendously helps us in our advocacy work. So, and it, again, will be preloaded over time. So feel free to provide us with this distinction between, we make the distinction between payroll employees and agents, and you will find definitions there, and feel free to provide this number if you may. The other very important questions that is necessary to continue, and again, you have to fill this section before you move to the next ones, because of course you cannot provide product specs until you listed your products, and you cannot provide sales until you choose the countries you're active in. So in this question, you will need to select the regions you're active in, and when clicking on a region, the countries will appear, and then the country. For example, for the interest of this testing Sylvia company, I just sell in India. I don't sell in any other region, but of course your situation can be different. As you see here, if you already feel like taking a break, not from this webinar, unfortunately, but from the reporting, you will see that you have a button called Save and Exit. That's the famous one I was referring to when mentioning that you can leave this section and let a colleague continue, or you continue yourself afterwards. If you click on Save and Exit, it will tell you you are leaving this questionnaire without submitting it, but you can always come back and submit, and please do so, because we will not be able to access, because of the confidentiality, we won't be able to access any incomplete submissions. So in the moment in which you press submit, that's when the information gets to GOGLA, Lighting Global, and Efficiency for Access Coalition. Until then, we don't get it. So it's really, and I will show you where this button is. But for the moment, let's stay with Sylvia Test, which has 2 products, one appliance product, one lighting product, to show you how it looks like. And I finished this section so I can move to the next one, because I filled in all the mandatory questions. Here you will see, in this case, I have just one product, but if you have more than one, you will have different bars for different products with the product name there. And you will need to click on each product to open the product specs. This way also you can click it back and don't have to scroll a very long page with all the products. But and you will see this this V will appear next to the name of the product when you have filled in all the mandatory questions for that product. Also, this gives you an idea on where some mandatory questions are missing. And this test one, if you remember, this is one of my lighting products. And there are some questions that I already replied, which are whether it's a currently quality verified, and this pertains to the round. So my product is not quality verified between July and December 2018, but I may have requested already a quality verification from January 2019, but I don't have it yet, and it was not valid within the round. Then there's some non-mandatory questions, which, for example, I'm deciding I want to leave empty. But for lighting products, as we said, there is impact metrics. And if you don't fill in this, you may not receive complete or not at all impact metrics. So we always advise also to fill in the non-mandatory question. They're there for a purpose, and they will be all preloaded. And it will still give us a lot of indication also from a research point of view. And I'm sure that Leo can add much more on this, especially on the appliances side. We are interested in gathering knowledge. We are reporting sales and sharing back with you sales, but in general, we are interested in gathering knowledge. So the more information we will have, definitely the better for us. And I can see on the fly just a question when we say, yeah, it's clear that when you say H2 2018, we refer to the period of reporting, which goes from July 1st to December 31st, 2018. So the second half year of 2018. So there are some mandatory questions for your lighting products, such as how many light points are included in the package, and how many outlets are included, and these are used for classification. So these are mandatory questions, as well as which type of appliances the product is capable of powering. So the ones that, for example, my product is capable of powering a TV and a fan. I forgot a TV. So it's capable of powering a TV and a fan. But if you see in the next question, it tells you what's included in the package. And I sell it only with a fan. It's capable of powering a TV, but I don't sell it with it. And then moving on, you can see that it asks me for other questions, such as the panel wattage, some non-mandatory questions that I decided to skip. And then he's asking me whether my product is sold on cash and PayGo, and you can choose either or, and choose the one where the majority of your products are sold. We are aware that some of the PayGo players do sell a very small percentage of their product as cash over the counter, but please choose here the one that's predominantly for that specific product. And depending on which one you choose, you will have different options in providing your pricing information. The pricing information is not shared at all. We don't have any analysis on FOB price. We do use it to compute the market value of such products. And you may choose not to report it, but we use it to report this market value of the products because we feel that that's an important indication for the investors, especially, to know how much value does this product have, how much does it, how much is this market worth, how much the products are sold in this market worth. And then you can always provide us with more additional information about the product that we may be missing, and you can, tell us, oh, you should add this question, for example, because it's very relevant for my product. This is for the lighting. I skimmed through the lighting a little bit faster because I'm aware that most of the companies on the line already sell lighting products already filled this in, and there's nothing new there. So we didn't change anything compared to last round. But moving on to the newest part, the newest edition, we now have a fourth section which talks about appliances. So also for the appliances products, as you see, is the same setup as for the lighting. All the products will be listed here. In my case, I have just one product. And as Sylvia test. And this shows you if you click onto the test 3, which shows you some questions. Again, some are mandatory, some are non-mandatory, but the non-mandatory are there because there's some knowledge that we are really trying to gather for this specific segment. And all the questions have been developed through company consultation, so they should be as clear as possible to you. But yet still feel free to reach out to us whether something is unclear in its definition or in its unit measurement. Every question is relevant, especially in this first round where we are trying to, we're starting this for the first time. Regarding the appliances, the first question is what's going to drive the question that are shown afterwards. So if I'm selling, if I have to say what type of product it is, and as Leo said in the beginning, for now we are bucketing mainly fans, TVs, refrigeration units, and solar water pumps. But you may also just, choose other and specify what type of appliance it is. In the future, seeing the answers that we will get, we may create a new bucket for a new appliance. Let's say everybody's selling sewing machine and we start seeing the value of reporting it as a separate item. We will do so, adding another point here. There are some questions that regardless what you push, whether it's a fan, a TV, or refrigeration units, are going to be asked to you. Such as whether it's a DC or AC equipment, and what's included, whether it comes with a panel, with some piping, cabling, or any other accessory, the rated power consumption, and the question that I said before, whether it's your own branding or not. This is fundamental for us not to double count. What does this mean? That if you are reporting us your sales, in, let's say, Ghana, you're selling this many fans in Ghana, and then the person that supplies you with that product also reports as sales in Ghana, then we will double count those products. So here we really look at the branding, hoping that that will give us an idea of what type of, to avoid this double counting. And also if you, differently from the lighting, if you push that you're a non-manufacturing distributor, we'll ask you what brand is the appliance. So for this exercise, we may not have all the branding companies report. So we may need to take a look at the distributor's data as well. So please, we know that this is confidential information for most of the people. This is going to be kept totally confidential, not shared with anyone besides the one included in the data sharing agreement. And there's going to be a list of individuals within the sharing agreement for each organization. So for example, at Gogla, a few limited amount of employees have access to this, and is not going to share with anyone else. So, but do please provide us some indication if you may, in the case you are a distributor. Then we ask you some non-mandatory question about the compatibility of such system with other companies. We are aware that some appliances have a digital handshake, or they may have a different connector, so they are not working with other companies' panels or solar home system. And here is just a yes/no question. We kept it simple. As well as the minimal panel size and the ideal operating voltage. For the fans, every appliance will have slightly different questions, depending, because of course for fans, for example, it's important to know what's the diameter. For a TV, as you may understand, it will be more important to know the screen size. I'm going to show you a little bit the main leading question we have for each, but the details are going to be in the slide deck for you to look after. And here, for example, ask you what type of fan it is, what's the diameter, what's the rated air delivery. And we will also share with you the segmentations afterwards. And then again, the pay-go cash and the pricing information. And then we will ask you if, for example, this FOB price you report includes the appliance and also some of, the balance of system, some other things that you have reported above that you have included. In the case, and just picking another case, which is very different, if you pick that this is a refrigeration unit, you may choose whether it's a refrigerator, a combination unit, a freezer, or a multi-temperature refrigerator. And, we will be asked what's the refrigerator volume and other sorts of questions related to this. All the definitions are mentioned in the questionnaire. So for example, when we talk about a fresh food compartment, will be mentioned there. What do we mean by that? But feel free always to reach out with further question if there's something unclear. After you've done this or before, it doesn't matter. Tab 3, 4, and 5 can be filled in any order you want. There's no specific order. The only one you have to do before everything is the general question number 2 tab. In the product sales tab, because I sell products both B2B and B2C, I will see for both region the B2B and B2C. And when clicking in any of these, it will tell me the products that I sell. For example, the product I sell B2B is test 1, and it will ask me for reporting the sales for India because I've chose just one country. If you choose more than one country, there will be one under the other. And you will need to provide separately B2B and B2C. We use this for quality control purposes. And we have started segmenting this since last round. Please fill in only numbers, no punctuation. And for PayGo, what's important is what is written here. Please specify only newly added customer in the reporting period. So you should not report your customer portfolio, but rather just the ones that you have added within those 6 months. Then again, preloaded for those that have already participated. For each product, you will see your historical sales. For example, I have no historical sales for this test 1 product, but for appliances companies, if you may want to share this data, you're going to be capable of doing so in this question. It's a non-mandatory question, but it will give us a sense of also past volumes, given that it's the first time we do this exercise. So imagine that now you have been through this whole survey, and then again, the first time around you do it, and probably most of the people in this webinar will know this, the first time, of course, you have to add all your products, all your specs, so it's going to take time. But again, the value that we provide for all the time you will spend on this, we really hope and truly believe that this is worth it. But then all of this will be preloaded in future rounds, so it's also an investment for you in your participation. After you've been through all these tabs, you can go to table 6 and go to submit. This is what I was talking about before. It's really important to push this green button, which says finalize and submit questionnaire. After you press it, you won't be able anymore to change your submission unless you contact me. If you push it by mistake, always contact me, no problems. But in general, once you have finished, please push this. The reason why is that last round, for example, some companies did not finish, and so I had to follow up with each and every of them to tell them, please push on this button, otherwise I cannot access it, and it would look like as if you didn't participate, and you won't get the report until you submit the questionnaire. The online platform access and the individual report are going to be only for companies that report product to us. So if you contribute, then you will get the output. So it's really important to arrive until the end and push on to finalize and submit. And you will have here a space in where you can also add all sorts of comments, feedback, such as, for example, it was too long, it took me too long, it was confusing in this, or thank you, it was really helpful. You also, all sorts of things. You can always add this in field text box or reach out via email to me, Leo, or Salman, and we will be very happy to assist you. As I said, all these steps are onto these slides. You may look at them after this webinar or share it with your colleagues. I try to be as detailed as possible with all the steps and I've been mentioning. And you will find here, for example, a list of the mandatory questions for lighting products and the non-mandatory questions for you to prepare beforehand. Other important things, I will arrive now to the last slide where we're gonna open for a Q&A, and it's here you will have also our contacts. I hope you should have already mine, and here you can find also Leo Blythe one and Salman's one. Sorry. But I can see now the only question we had was about what does H2 2018 mean. Feel free again to add more questions now or reach out via email. But Susila, what we meant there was the fact that H2 2018 refers to July to December. So we are now gathering sales from July 1st to December 31st. And we'll be in touch with you when the questionnaire opens. You will receive an email in your inbox. I think by now the webinar, it's coming to an end. We can leave it open a little bit longer if anybody still wants to submit a question. But otherwise, I don't know, Leo, you have any follow-up you want to share with everyone?
Hi everyone. No, I think as Sylvia stressed, there's a lot of information here. We've done our best to convey it to you as simply and concisely as possible, but we're sure that you will have questions. So please do take advantage of this invitation to follow up. And just to thank you again for joining today, and to remind you that the key reason we're having this webinar is because there is a very short period for the actual reporting. And so if you can also just think about yourselves there or your team members who will actually do the reporting in January, then it will be great just to share this presentation with them, maybe reflect on it themselves. And we're just inviting you to contact us before then, if that will help you be more efficient during the actual submission period. Otherwise, we're always available during the submission period as these questions come up in real time as you share the data. And just want to stress again, as Sylvia said, it's really helpful. We want for us as a program under Leah to understand the market better. This is our snapshot, this way of learning as much as possible to continue to support and to tie this into the program objectives, to understand priority of different appliances, etc. And so we really hope that you find this in your best interest to participate on the new side. And for those of you who've already been working in it, hopefully the appliance addition to this will bring you a lot more visibility and give you feedback as you expand your businesses or consider expanding them into the appliances space or partnership with other manufacturers of appliances. So, really thanks to Gogla for taking this on and for expanding the work, and looking forward to working with you all as we get into the process next year. Wishing you happy holidays if you're taking them now, and season's greetings to you all. Very best. Thank you.
Yeah, I join Leo in wishing you a great holiday season. We will be in touch between January and February, as we said. We look forward to your participation. Again, feel free to reach out with any question. We will share the recording and the slide deck as soon as we will have it available with all of you. I can see no more question was thrown at us, so I consider this webinar over now. I will end it for all participants. And again, speak to you soon and be in touch.
Thank you, Sylvia, and goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.